Can we go to the toy store first, please, mommy? Please? Jungsu tugged at your hand as you stepped into the familiar mall entrance, the bright lights above casting a soft glow over the polished floors. You smiled, brushing a stray lock of hair behind your ear as you glanced down at your 5-year-old son. His excitement was contagious. Alright, mister, but only if we get lunch after. You promised to try something healthy today, remember? Yes, I swear, no more chicken nuggets today, he added with a mischievous grin, his eyes crinkling just like his father's used to. You ruffled his dark hair. You are such a little negotiator. I learned from the best, he beamed. You laughed, the sound soft and genuine. These weekends were sacred, your own little tradition. Every Saturday, rain or shine, it was Mom and Jungsu Day. Just the two of you. It had started when he turned 2 and hadn't stopped since. It gave you both something to look forward to. Slice of normal in a world that hadn't always been kind. As you walked past the coffee shop and toward the escalator, your phone buzzed. A quick glance showed a message from your mother. Take care, tell Jungsu grandma says hi. You smiled and tucked the phone away, watching your son marvel at the window's display of colorful toys. Mommy, look, that dinosaur has a rocket pack. Do you think we could buy it today? Jungsu asked, his eyes wide. We'll see. If it depends if a certain someone finishes all their vegetables at lunch. He let out a dramatic sigh. You are tough, mommy. I try, you teased, but only because someone's got to keep you in line. What if I eat a carrot and a broccoli? Can I get a small toy? Like very small? He held his thumb and index finger barely apart. You chuckled. We'll negotiate after lunch. Now let's go have some fun. Jungkook adjusted the earpiece subtly as he stood near the center atrium, eyes scanning. The voice in his ear was calm and steady. Alpha target is 2 levels above, east side. Jungkook's voice was sharp in his team's comms as he stood in the middle of the crowd, looking every bit like a civilian in a dark blue shirt and black slacks, but beneath the surface his eyes were moving constantly, trained. Maintain crowd control, no panic, escort him quietly if possible. Came another voice. Copy that. Jungkook replied, his tone clipped, then he added, I've got eyes. He's headed towards the south atrium. Possible weapon inside jacket. The target was a high-profile arms dealer who had gone rogue, volatile, dangerous and cornered, and right now he was walking through a mall packed with weekend families. Jungkook had done this 1,000 times, extraction without chaos, clean, silent, until it wasn't. Just as the criminal spotted one of Jungkook's men in the crowd, he panicked, drew his gun, a woman screamed. Chaos erupted like a volcano. Jungkook's instincts kicked in immediately. Go, he shouted through the comms, sprinting toward the central elevator. He leaped over the railing of one level, landing hard on the floor below and rolling to break the impact. Barely a second behind the suspect, you had turned at the noise, the sudden screams. Jungsu, stay close to me, you said, pulling your son behind a column as the crowd began rushing past. Mommy, look, that man. Jungsu pointed, eyes wide in awe. You turned just in time to see a familiar figure sprint up the escalator railing, jump from one level to another, and tackle the armed man near the edge. Your heart stopped. Jungkook. It couldn't be, but it was. That same fierce focus, the same protective fury. Jungsu gasped, eyes sparkling. Mommy is like a superhero. Did you see that? He saved those people. You couldn't speak, couldn't blink. Memories were flooding you. The blood, the broken ribs, the night you stayed at his beside, whispering promises he never got to hear. Gunfire rang out, one bullet then another. People ducked, security alarm blared, and in the next second, the suspect broke free, injured, cornered, and desperate. You were too stunned to notice that he was headed your way until it was too late. He saw you, saw the child clinging to your leg, and you saw that look in his eyes, a decision. He needed a hostage. You backed away, pulling Jungsu behind you. No, please don't. Too late. The man lunged, then a gunshot cracked through the air. You turned in time to see Jungkook, rage burning in his eyes, running straight toward you. He tackled the man from the side, knocking him to the ground, holding him there as his man rushed to cuff him. He didn't say anything at first. His breaths were ragged, his arms shaking, and finally his eyes dropped to Jungsu. Everything stopped. Jungsu stared at him, breathing hard, eyes round. You, you are the guy who jumped. You are amazing. Jungkook's throat tightened. He blinked slowly and then he looked at you. No words, just pain, shock, and something deeper, recognition. He knew. Ryan. You stayed still, frozen, the noise of the mall fading into a distant blur. Your eyes met his, those same dark eyes that once washed over you while you slept, that softened when you whispered his name in the middle of the night, that hardened every time the world tried to tear him down. Now they were filled with disbelief, hurt, and longing. And something you hadn't seen in years. Love. Your lips parted, but no words came. A shaky breath escaped instead, trembling as if your heart couldn't carry the weight of your silence anymore. Hey, Jungsu's small voice cut in, completely unaware of the storm swirling between you and Jungkook. He tilted his head curiously. How do you know my mommy's name? Are you guys friends or something? You flinched, your gaze breaking from Jungkook's as your heart clenched. Jungsu's hand was still wrapped around your fingers. You gripped it tighter. He didn't know. He couldn't know yet. Mom? Jungsu asked, glancing between the two of you. Do you know this amazing guy? He's like a real superhero. Did you see how he jumped from up there? He saved everyone. Jungkook looked at Jungsu now. Really looked. His jaw clenched subtly, but his eyes grew impossibly soft, like the last piece of a broken soul had just been returned. You saw the way his gaze lingered on your son's hair, the exact shade of his, the way his lips trembled slightly when he noticed Jungsu's dimpled smile. And still he said nothing. He didn't have to. You knew that look. He was swallowing everything. His rage, his grief, his desperate need to scream why into the heavens. Because his eyes were on the boy. Your boy. His boy. You knelt beside Jungsu and tugged a loose thread on his shirt, forcing a soft smile. Baby, can you sit right over there on that bench for just a minute? You said gently, brushing his hair from his forehead. He tilted his head. But why? What's going on? Nothing bad, I promise. I just need to talk to, your voice faltered, to this man. Jungsu turned to Jungkook again. You mean the superhero? You nodded, holding your breath. Yes. Okay. He hopped over the bench, still looking back in fascination. But don't take too long, I'm still hungry. Your smile dropped the moment he turned away, and when you turned back to Jungkook, you froze. He was no longer the stunned, quiet man from a minute ago. His face had hardened, his jaw was locked, his brows drawn, his eyes burning like a volcano just before it erupts. He's my son, isn't he? His voice was ice-controlled. Don't you dare lie to me, Ryan. You swallowed, your hands trembling at your sides. You couldn't look him in the eyes, so you looked down, tears silently filling your lashes, and gave a faint nod. Yes, he's your son. A breath left him, shattered, unsteady. He took a step back as if your words had physically struck him. His fingers twitched at his sides, struggling not to clench. My son, he whispered. You hid my son from me? Jungkook. He cut you off, voice trembling. How could you? How could you so easily walk away from me and take him with you? Why? He demanded. Why couldn't you just trust me? You looked up, eyes filled with a storm, because trusting you would have meant risking him. Jungkook froze. You pressed your hand against your chest, voice broken and raw. Jungkook, you don't know what it was like. Every time you walked out the door, I didn't know if you would come back. Every silence made my heart stop. Every phone call in the middle of the night, every whisper of your name in the news, it destroyed me. I try to protect you, he said, stepping closer. I try to keep my world away from you, but it still touched me. You said sharply, desperate now. Even when you tried your best was still dangerous. That night you came home soaked in blood. That bullet could have killed you, Jungkook, and the next one it might killed us. He didn't move, didn't speak. You stared into his eyes, trembling. I was pregnant, you said softly, and suddenly the stakes were different. It wasn't just me anymore, it was a life, a little heartbeat I had to protect more than I protect myself. You paused, wiping your tears roughly. I knew you would try to be a father. You would have thrown yourself into it with everything you had. You would have fought your world, your family, your rules, and maybe you would have won, but maybe not, and I couldn't take that chance. Jungkook's eyes glistened now. I would have died for him, he whispered, and you nodded, and that's exactly what I was afraid of. His mouth parted, but no words came, just silence, just the soft hum of the mall around you, so unsure of the earth shattering moment unfolding beside a bench. I love you, you said brokenly. God, I loved you so much. It tore me apart, but I loved that child more. I loved the idea of him living free, safe, normal. I gave him that at the cost of giving him you, and I'll never forgive myself for it. Jungkook looked away, blinking fast. He dragged his hand through his hair, his breathing uneven. And me? He finally asked bitterly. You thought I would just live with the fact that you vanished? You decided to make a choice for me? Is that fair? You lowered your eyes, guilt clawing its way up your throat like poison. No, it wasn't fair. None of it was. He let out a sharp, broken laugh, the kind that carried years of buried anger and aching betrayal. You were willing to die for us, Jungkook, but I couldn't let you. I couldn't let my child grow up in a world where gunshots were lullabies and bodyguards were normal. I watched you bleed too many times. I kissed you goodnight, wondering if it would be the last time. And the night I found out I was pregnant, something inside me changed. I just knew I couldn't stay. He looked at you like the wind had been knocked out of him. So you broke up with me? I'm sorry. I begged you to understand. You told me that no matter how much you wanted peace, the war would always find you. You told me your blood was tied to this life, that you couldn't just run. He exhaled sharply. That was true. He had said those words. And I believed you. I believed that even if you left, that world would find you. And if it couldn't get to you, it would come for me, for our child. A long silence stretched between you. I didn't tell you I was pregnant because I knew you would stay, and staying would have destroyed you. You would have hated yourself every time you heard a gunshot in the distance, wondering if it would one day come for your son. And I would have watched you die a little every day, trying to become someone you never had the freedom to be. Your voice cracked, so I chose the only thing I thought I could, to give him a life without fear. Jungkook stared at the floor for a long moment. Then he looked up, eyes brimming with tears he wouldn't let fall. And what about me, Ryan? Didn't I deserve that choice too? Didn't I deserve to know I had a son, to hold him, to hear his first words, his first laugh? Don't you think I had the right? Your tears flowed freely now, your voice barely above a whisper. I robbed you of that, and I'll carry that guilt with me forever. You looked back toward the bench where Jungsu was still playing quietly with the toy he had picked out. But if I had to make the choice again, I would still choose him. Jungkook looked at you, jaw trembling, pain carved into every line of his face, and in the softest, most broken voice you had ever heard from him, he said, I want to hate you for this, but I can't. You have no idea how much I missed you, how much I love you. A sob escaped your mouth, but you quickly hid it. I'm sorry, I know I deserve punishment. I deserve your hate. No, all I want to do is to love you. This time, please don't walk away. You looked at him shout, even after so much he wanted you. I want to be my child's father, Ryan. I want you. Tears slid down your cheeks, but then a tiny voice, unsure and soft. Mom, is everything okay? You quickly wiped your tears and turned to him with a trembling smile. Jungkook took a slow breath, trying to steady himself. Everything is okay, baby. Jungsu looked at Jungkook curiously. Is he your friend? You opened your mouth to answer, but the words stuck in your throat. Then Jungkook stepped forward slowly, kneeling down to his level. I'm someone who's very, very proud of your mom, and someone who has wanted to meet you for a long time. Jungsu tilted his head, thoughtful. Are you mommy's friend? Jungkook looked up at you. You met his eyes, nodded. You were ready for this life again. More than that, you whispered. He's your dad. The boy blinked, his hand slowly lowered from his toy, and for a second nothing moved. Then he whispered, My dad? Jungkook's breath hitched. Yeah, he said softly, I'm your dad. The silence was a blanket, thick, unfolding in every breath. Then, slowly, tentatively, Jungsu stepped closer. If you're my dad, he said carefully, where were you all this time? You froze. Jungkook knelt, eyes suddenly wet, meeting the boy's gaze without blinking. I didn't know about you, Jungsu. Not until today. If I had known, I would have been there for every second. You didn't know? Jungkook shook his head. Not a single day went by that I didn't miss your mom, but I didn't know I was missing you too. Jungsu looked at you, his eyes soft but searching. Mommy, is that true? You nodded slowly, your voice trembling. I was scared, sweetheart. I thought I was doing the right thing protecting you. His gaze lingered, gentle and too wise for his ears. I always knew you were hiding something. You felt your heart break a little more. I used to ask if I had a daddy. You never said no, but you never said yes either. You bit your lip as tears filled your eyes. Jungkook watched you quietly, his expression unreadable. I used to dream about him sometimes. I had imagined he was a hero, someone who saves people, someone strong. He turned to Jungkook again, his little hands balling into fists. You looked like a hero today, like one from the movies. Jungkook's jaw trembled. I'm not a perfect man, but for you, I want to be the kind of hero you believe in. Jungsu stared at him for a second longer, then reached forward slowly, hesitantly, and placed a small hand on Jungkook's chest. Can I hug you? A sob cracked through Jungkook's chest. Before he could even answer, he opened his arms and the boy stabbed into them. And just like that, Jungkook held his son for the first time, tightly, like he would never let go again. You watched, hand over your mouth, tears streaming freely. Your heart, though aching with guilt, felt light. I'm so sorry I wasn't there, but I'm here now, okay? I'm here now. I waited. Jungkook pulled back just enough to see his face. You did? Jungsu nodded. Even if I didn't know your face, I knew you were real, and I think I already love you. Jungkook laughed through his tears. You're gonna destroy me, kid. He pulled him back tighter this time, and then his eyes met yours over Jungsu's shoulder. So much emotion lived there, anger, grief, ache, love, but now something softer. Forgiveness, understanding, and still love. You stepped forward slowly. Jungkook reached out his free hand. You took it, no words, just touch. A silent vow, let's do this right this time. The three of you stood there, tangled together in the middle of a world that had tried to keep you apart. Chaos spun around you still, guards in the background, people moving the mission long forgotten, but none of that mattered anymore. In that moment, you had everything, and this time, you wouldn't run, you wouldn't hide, you wouldn't raise your child alone. And Jungkook, he wasn't just a mafia boss anymore. He was a father, he was your home. And finally, after years of sacrifice and silence, he was exactly where he was meant to be.